Duelist Kingdom in and of itself was a massive mess, as Pegasus allowed for so many moments to go through without a hitch. This could possibly be due to how they wanted to focus more on the adventure back in the day, but looking back on it now, yeah, I expect a lot of logic-lacking ideas from Duelist Kingdom. Starting with this screw-the-rules moment in which Yami used Living Arrow, aka Spell-Shattering Arrow, to fuse his Mammoth Graveyard into Kaiba's Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon.
Now what?
I can use the magical power of the Living Arrow to bond my Mammoth Graveyard to the heart of your beast!
Well, I guess I could probably just let Yami tell you how this one worked.
Since my Mammoth Graveyard is an undead-type monster, he can't properly fuse with your living Ultimate Dragon. Instead, it causes your monster to rot and decay from the inside out. Each turn, your Ultimate Dragon will lose attack points until your creature is no more.
As such, Blue Eyes just kept losing attack for 3 of Yugi's end phases, while Yami over here set up a wall of Karibos to keep himself from dying. This resulted in the infamous moment where Kaiba threatened to jump off the castle if he would lose, and while Yami was fine with it, little Yugi not so much, and they ended up forfeiting because of morals or whatever. The real king of games would have just blasted that fool down the cliff. Yugi, don't you want to be the best? This wasn't the first time Yugi cheated in Duelist Kingdom, nor will it be the last, not even on this list. Earlier in the tournament, we are treated with the showdown set up at the start of this arc, Yugi versus Weevil. This being Yugi's first duel in the tournament, and adding the fact that he didn't read the goddamn rules of the said tournament, Weevil gains an early lead by purposely leading Yugi to an area where all of his monsters receive a field power bonus, yeah that was a thing, and stalls to try and summon his then boss monster Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. After an entire 26 turns of both participants either T-set passing, passing outright, or normal summon passing, Yugi decides he's done with Weevil shit and uses Burning Land to commit arson and burn down the entire forest that was giving Weevil a power bonus.
Whoever said I was aiming for your cocoon? I combined my Burning Land magic card with my Curse of Dragon to destroy the forest all around your cocoon!
No forest! That means I lose my field power bonus!
Now to be fair, Burning Land's effect is that it burns the enemy army's lands and steals their defense, so is he really cheating? Yes, he is. Beyond this nonsensical effect, and the fact that this was the 4th full duel shown, taking place over 2 episodes, the utter, just ridiculous logic shown off here is merely a hint at the extent of what Yugi's confidence will allow him to do in the future. About that whole Pegasus not caring about any sort of rule structure thing, he was no stranger to the idea. You see, he had the power of his Millennium Eye, allowing him to not only see every card in Yugi's hand, but also every thought going on in his mind. Seems a little crazy, and that's because it is, but just know it got all the wackier when Yugi and Atem began to counter this by interchanging who is dueling every turn, while the other plans moves to make.
What? I can't tell what that hidden card is that you just played.
Sorry, Pegasus, but I don't know what this face-down card is either. Reading my mind will tell you absolutely nothing. You see, Pegasus, I don't know what that card is because I am no longer Yugimoto, but someone else altogether.
Swapping personalities usually is more related to mental illness or main shonen characters being main shonen characters, but Yugi and Atem would legit mix up Pegasus by continuously thinking each other's thoughts and confusing him, as Pegasus only seems to be able to read one mind at a time and not the subconscious conscious mind. I don't know how it works. I would consider this cheating if only because you can't exactly change your entire personality to mess with your opponent, especially considering there are 2 separate people dueling here, and not only transforming midway like in some duels, but doing so continuously and multiple times per episode. That seems like it puts the whole, Yugi doesn't duel for the whole duel, so sometimes that's cheating sentiment to rest and beats the grave itself to death. Here you go, guys. The one that people straight up love so much that there are legitimate shirts just telling you what this moment is. It's so batshit insane it's a meme within the community, and for good reason. Panics this dude. That's all there is to say about him as a character, but he had Castle of Dark Illusions, which for some reason not only had the weirdest stats they could go for and not make calculators and players alike want to die, but also allowed Panic to conceal his monsters in darkness, not allowing Atem to actually see where his attacks would be going. If that's dumb, prepare for a stroke upon seeing how Atem counters this. He plays Swords of Revealing Light, pinning Panic's monsters to the floor and not allowing them to move within a cage of light. He then loads Gaia the Dragon Champion into his Catapult Turtle, yeets the whole thing into the castle at Mach 3, destroying its flotation ring, and sending pieces crumbling down. The masses of stone come crashing down on Panic's monsters, burning him for game for no reason whatsoever, and then Atem decides to murder him in cold blood by overloading his brain and mind-crushing him. Yep, that's the last we ever see of Panic. Dude just died. He is a corpse. He is in a pinewood box floating down the river, and his mother and direct family and his friends had to see him in such a state before saying their final goodbyes. You know what? Put murder on the spot too. It literally would not make it any higher on the list, and I'm sure Konami would still not allow such a thing at sanctioned events. Hey look, another infamous Duelist Kingdom moment featuring everyone's favorite freaky fish guy, Mako. In episode 7 of Duel Monsters, Mako is introduced and promptly duels Yami after giving them some food, as he is actually a nice guy, not one of the freaky fish variety. The duel itself is already infamous for having Mako summon his monsters underwater so Yami couldn't see them, but the most noted act of rule defiance was at the end. After Mako attacks Silverfang and reduces the land that Yami's giant soldier of stone is crouched on, roll with it, Yami decides to pull a brilliant move and puts the guy in attack mode to stab the no-shit actual real-life goddamn moon.
The moon! No! Now, Stone Soldier! Destroy the moon!
What's happening?
My Stone Soldier has beached all your sea monsters. You have no ocean left.
Yeah, he destroys the moon, and by doing so, he affects the tides of battle, figuratively and literally, drying up the oceans, removing the buff to Mako's monsters, and letting him bring in Curse of Dragon and uses Burning Land again to allow the dragon to attack all of Mako's monsters and win. I'm sure there's a global warming joke in there somewhere, but my ideas seem to have dried up concerning the matter. Atem may be able to obliterate any semblance of your being with facts and dump your body in a river of logic, but I didn't know he could just come out here with the Vsauce and decide to count past infinity. The whole darts duel is just mad as a hatter in every sense of the phrase, but this moment takes the cake. You see, infinity, that concept that means all real numbers, is nothing compared to a bigger infinity that Yugi pulled out. If you're confused, please be sure to watch that 20-minute Vsauce video on the subject, it's quite interesting. Come back, and then realize Yugi did no such thing that would be actually mentioned in that video.
Now, Critias, absorb the ability of my attack guidance barrier! This allows Critias to transfer his attack to any other monster on the field! So the new target of his Sword of Wisdom will be legendary Knight Hermos! What? It's time for Hermos to activate his special ability now, and send that attack right back! You can't! I just did! Now my two knights are reflecting their attack back and forth as its strength increases to infinity! For now there's a force beyond infinity! My Knight of Destiny!
Also, the idea of multiple monsters attacking it at once like it's Magic the Gathering is straight up not what this game does. So take this entry however you want it. There are two explicit violations of the game's rules here, and one of them breaks the Gregorian mathematical system along with it. Wait until next week, kids, when Atem faces his greatest foe yet! Time itself! Hey. You see this Dark Mirror Force? What if I told you it was just regular Mirror Force? That's what Yami did. He set Dark Mirror Force, thinks to himself, and says to the audience that he set Dark Mirror Force, was offered Dark Mirror Force by Kaiba in the ceremonial duel, yet Yugi looks at it, thinks it's real Mirror Force through deduction, good on him, attacks into it, and guess what? Yami just straight up flips over real Mirror Force.
To begin, I'll place one card face down. And next up, I activate my trap card. Behold, my Mirror Force!
This isn't even a dubism. This exists in the original Japanese broadcast as well. It's either Atem cheated so hard he decided to change what card was set without even knowing it, as he psyched himself into thinking it was Dark Mirror Force, apparently, or the writers and the animators on separate occasions forgot what was happening between those two episodes where he said it and then it actually came up. I honestly can't imagine that many people messing up at once, so I blame Atem for making the least amount of sense. Don't call that an animation error. It was premeditated. Remember how Yugi broke physics earlier? Well, apparently that wasn't a one-off ability, as he's able to create matter. Yep. At several points during the ceremonial battle at the end of the series, Atem decides that he just wants to try and end Yugi's entire life by creating the perfect card he needs, with sheer willpower. We could count Dark Mirror Force being transmuted into regular Mirror Force, but that's just alchemy. No. Yugi is breaking the very laws of the universe that we understand that Mendeleev set up for us. There's really not much to say beyond Yugi breaking the laws of physics, and just saying, "Aye, screw you," to his opponent by using cards from outside of the game. Don't believe me? Listen to Ishizu and Merit.
And the card that I'm about to draw is the exact one that I need. And now, Almighty Big Shield Gardener, come forth! Let's see if I was correct!
Truth is, he knew exactly what card he was about to draw.
What? But their decks were shuffled, right?
Can he see the future? Because if he can, I'd say that qualifies as an unfair advantage.
You're wrong. You see, the Pharaoh didn't predict what his next card would be. His willpower made it so. It appears the Pharaoh's determination was so strong, he actually influenced fate with his own will.
Cards are typically supposed to only do one thing because there are these little things called rules or balance. But what if you have a card with wording so vague you can use it to have 3 entirely different effects? Makyu, the magical mist, was a literal deus ex machina that let Yami get out of 3 different situations thanks to the wording on the card of better electrical conductivity, boosts attack by 30%. The first came from his duel with Weevil in episode 5, yeah, we're going back to that one, in which he uses it to wash away the poison that Great Moth poured into the air from his Gaia the Dragon Champion, and cover Great Moth in water vapor to buff Summon Skull's attack by 1000 to zap Great Moth to death. This is literally the best sentence I have ever had to read. The second use was in episode 34, where he takes advantage of Time Wizard's aging process on his Dark Magician to make Dark Sage, that was something that barely didn't make the list, and use a spell from his hand on Joey's turn. That's already some jank, but he then used Makyu to extinguish Thousand Dragon's attack on his Sage, because I guess it put out the fire and Thousand Dragon didn't want to be there anyway. Finally, in the Battle City arc in episode 50, Yami duels a brainwashed Bandit Keith and uses the card to rust Keith's Machine King, Megasonic Eye, and Buggeroth, while dropping their stats by 300 points.
But they're still made out of metal, so I play Makyu!
You think a little mist will destroy my machines?
It won't destroy them, but it will cause them to rust and lower their points. And the mist turns your machine monsters into one gigantic lightning rod.
Cause get it? They're fragile now because rust is a reddish or yellowish brown flaky coating of iron oxide that is formed on iron or steel by oxidation, especially in the presence of moisture. This also boosted Summon Skull as well, but apparently, being in a warehouse weakens the boost from 1000 to 750. God bless the actual staff that tried to give it somewhat of a coherent effect in real life, to give all Summon Skulls and Thunder Monsters a 30% attack buff, because Lord knows I would have just been left a mess trying to comprehend it. Well, I mean, I'm still brain dead at the thought of this card having actual words on the card to represent these varying effects, but, I mean, I appreciate the effort. What could beat changing what a card does to suit your needs? How about actually breaking time? You thought I was joking in the Infinity +1 segment, didn't you? Nope! Yugi cheats death itself. This is actually exactly how it happened. In the final episode of GX, which is especially impressive that Atem can cheat even after he went into the door that basically just sent him out of the timeline entirely, Wing Karibo is shown to apparently been given magic powers by Yugi to go back in time. Why do I say it wasn't just Wing Karibo? Well, mainly because Yugi and Jaden are the only people able to move in a state of completely stopped time when they go back to a point immediately after Yugi's Battle City win.
もう一つの魂が
何?
あれが伝説の名もなきファラオの魂
Yugi can straight up cheat death by doing this, which is the biggest cheat of all. How else would Atem be able to come back and nullify the idea of Yugi being the true king of games at the end of his own series? Flush that down the toilet, cause who cares? Yugi cheated Jaden, Yugi cheated time, Yugi cheated the laws of nature, And Yugi cheated me, most importantly. So that's why it gets number 1.